Ben, family time around the holidays can always be fun. My dad had this a grand idea to buy all the women in our family stun guns. We do a gift exchange at my house, and I look at your face; it's so funny. At Christmas Eve, I invite my parents over. We do a feast, seafood, crabs and shrimp and corn and potatoes and the whole bit. And we do a gift exchange. I'm watching the Eagles game and going back and forth to the kitchen on the commercial breaks. Apparently, they started a gift exchange. Everybody gets to open one gift. The one gift my mom opens is the stun gun, and my dad didn't do any explaining about how to use it or anything. So she's like, "Oh, what is this? The charger?" And she takes the thing and she thinks it's like a stun gun, but it's actually where the probes come out type stun gun. And she shot. I thought a balloon had hit like a candle or something because I heard a pop, but she accidentally shot the stun gun. But luckily it was pointed down. It almost hit my wife's foot, but it started a big argument. I just continue seasoning the pot and preparing them for the crabs. I was focused on the food and the game. If they want to argue, and they ain't ruining my Christmas. So that was how my Christmas Eve went.
That was Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve was cool. Was at my brother's. Christmas Day, I got a flat tire.
No.
You got a flat tire.
You got AAA?
Geico. Oh, I don't know if that's like I can mention that, but yeah, my car insurance came through. Luckily, I was already at my mom's house. My brother noticed it when he pulled up. I didn't feel it get flat. Like the car didn't let me know it was a flat tire or anything. So, yeah, that was some money I ain't planning on spending. That kind of threw a wrench into the Monday because Christmas was on Sunday. So, and as I told you, I sent you the video on New Year's Eve. I went to a wedding. And we counted down the New Year's together. And for our listeners, my dude Mike Reamer, big Sixers fan, he actually proposed to his now wife after a Sixers game last season. When the clock hit midnight, the DJ dropped the Sixers one song. So I sent you the video.
10, 9, 8, 76ers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the vibes are about good vibes. Man.
It was dope. It was still a lot of people off rhythm, but it was a great time. Congrats to Mike Reamer and Stephanie Reamer now, or McGovern. Thanks for inviting me. It was a grand time. I hope all our listeners had a safe, happy holidays, including you, Danny, and your family, and no one got hit with that stun gun.
Story time with Ben and Danny.
Ready to build career skills in 2023? Apply to Wilmington University today. Get started by January 9th. Learn more and apply at wilmu.edu. Upskill, reskill, or start fresh in 2023 with a degree or certificate from Wilmington University. WilMU works for you. Apply today to start January 9th.
Get over here. We've been waiting for you. More fun than pulling a pig's tail. It is the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. WilMU works. Danny Pommells and Ben Berry here, hitting the shoulder bounce as we get into the new year. Ben, how you feeling, man? 2023 is here. New year, new you?
New year, same me. Not a little new me. I got the starter twisting for the hair. The fro with the fade on the side was wanted something different. So. New year, somewhat new me.
I'm feeling it.
Started off good. Well, as you know, I was at a wedding. So I can't complain. I'm excited for what 2023 has to bring.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us are. And for the Sixers, so far, so good. They avenge Friday's loss against the New Orleans Pelicans last night. And they kind of got off the hook a little bit because Zion Williamson left with a right hamstring injury in the third quarter. And, man, he was eating against the Sixers because, I mean, after the game, Doc Rivers called him basically a fast Shaq. I don't know if you've seen – if people have probably come across it. I don't know if you bumped into it, but after the Timberwolves game, D'Angelo Russell said he's playing football, we're playing basketball, like a little bit of hate mixed in there, but just
that sounded like someone that was crying and needed to get in the weight room.
fam, seeing this dude in back-to-back games like this in close proximity, not back-to-back, but close proximity, he is fascinating. And I was always a fan, even when he signed to Duke and before, the whole shoe blew up and stuff like that, and his high school stuff was out there. It was just like, is this dude really a real person? And seeing him dominate now at the NBA level in the paint, off the dribble, getting to the rim, and against Joel, PJ Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, whoever you throw at him, it's like no one is quite his size. You might be taller than him, but you're probably not as wide as him. You might be, wide as him, but you're not as quick as him. You know what I mean? So I just really am fascinated by how he gets after it.
I'm a Zion fan. He's a lot of fun to watch. Like you said, high school, college. But there was someone to slow him down, at least for most of the first half. Bang, bang, George Niang. Zion was failing to score against him. I don't know what it is.
What?
George Niang, his agent should reach out to the Sixers today and demand more money.
It's funny you say that, man. Styles make fights. Niang had it going, from outside too, man. When he's one of the, I think they said that in last night's game, he was the interview after the game. And in his first 5 seasons in the NBA, he probably had like 5 15-point games, and he has 8 this season alone. So
8 this season alone, and I think 15 his entire time with the Sixers.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, you look at these role players, man. Him, and his role, and sometimes when he's not making a shot, it's a little tough to have him out there. But when he is shooting, it is just lights out fun, because a guy that can just really start pouring it on at any moment. And then guys like DeAnthony Melton, it's going to be some tough decisions for the Sixers team to make. Although Melton is under contract next season, these are good role players and guys that are really balancing what Joel and Harden have going on. And hopefully Harden sticks around and they can continue to build this thing. And I feel like Melton and guys like Niang have to be a part of that too.
I agree. And there's so much to get to, whether it's Embiid, Monster's performance, and it's just become so used to it. We haven't mentioned it yet because he's just been going off. Harden's scoring from outside. He pushed the clock back last night, and you said he hope he stays away. Maybe we'll get into that. DeAnthony Melton and some of these guys in the rotation deserving minutes.
Man,
and I don't want to start off
Melton,
with
bro.
Huh?
I love DeAnthony Melton, bro.
Yeah.
He's
phenomenal.
What an impact. Yeah.
And I guess so. We'll start here because you brought up that point. I know Tyrese Maxey has just come back from injury, second game back. I don't expect him to look like he did in the beginning of the season or last year, but it just hasn't looked good. And what do you do there? You don't want to put him on the bench because I'm not sure he's going to create for other people leading that second unit. But he just hasn't looked good offensively, and he's looked worse defensively. And again, I know it's his second game back, so I'm interested to see what Doc Rivers and the coaching staff do moving forward to help him find the groove.
It's funny. They got Tyrese Maxey coming back off this, small fracture in his foot, and he's on a minutes restriction, and he's 22 years old, but they bring back James Harden after this tendon issue in his foot, and he, comes and plays like the most minutes in the NBA when he returns. So it doesn't, you understand the Maxey part, but don't understand the Harden part, and when you connect the two, it kind of doesn't make sense. But I have no issue with what Maxey has done so far, and I don't think you do either, but it does bring the point of how do you reincorporate Tyrese Maxey, but still acknowledge the fact that DeAnthony Melton is getting loose. And that's why the coaches are here, right? And that's their job to figure out. But I have no problem, starting Melton at any point in time with Maxey in the lineup or not, just because he does so many different things. And, it's some cool nicknames out here, but Mr. Do Something is right up there on the list. And it reflects the type of game that he brings. And it's just not a type of player that you can trade for, allow to come in-house and continue to thrive and then let him leave. It's going to cost a couple dollars for sure, but he's the type of player that checks so many boxes and just seems to be able to be interchangeable in a way that not many players who have come through here have been. But I feel like they need to figure out a way to get Melton, Maxey, and Harden on the floor at the same time, because I feel like if you have Tyrese Maxey, DeAnthony Melton, and 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 Tyrese excuse me, it's weird that PJ Tucker will kind of be the odd man out. Like, you didn't bring him here to come off the bench, and you probably lose all of the he's not guarding the team's best player if he's coming off the bench. Somehow he might be able to solve this backup 5 issue with the Sixers. I don't know, but you have to figure out a way to maximize the Sixers roster. And at the moment, I don't know if having PJ Tucker in the starting lineup is doing that, but I don't know. I'm getting off topic, but
no, I think that's fair. And it's a good point. I think they could sub PJ out. He could start, but sub him out earlier, maybe 4 or 5 minutes into the game, more regularly. And that way he starts on the best player. Bring in whoever your 6th man is, most likely D'Anthony Melton, so you can get that 3-guard rotation like you just spoke of. I think overall, PJ and James Harden should be receiving more rest, especially so they're well rested for when the Sixers get to the playoffs. PJ, it hasn't been adding much offensively all season long, so why add the wear and tear on his body for right now for regular season games?
Bro, and they got some keeping up to do. Like they're going to have to, as an organization, figure out this roster, minor roster issue, but roster issue all the same, just because the stakes are getting higher. The season's going on. We talked about the NBA season doesn't start until Christmas Day. Excuse me. The Sixers get the W against the Knicks on Christmas Day for their 8th in a row, lose a couple of games they probably shouldn't have against the Wizards, against the Pelicans, bounce back against OKC, who they'll see again on Thursday, and then, get the win over Zion and the Pelicans. But the rest of the league, Donovan Mitchell goes for 71 last night. Just showing how, new acquisition, we talk about Melton fitting in so well with the Sixers. Like, that's just him coming to Cleveland has proven to pay incredible dividends for their chemistry and on the court product. But they play the Pacers. The Sixers doing their next game, the team directly below them in the standings. We were talking about before the podcast, the Nets have won 12 games in a row and look like the team that we thought that they might be. The Sixers have to continue to be great. Like, there's no slacking off here in this tight Eastern Conference race. We haven't talked about the Celtics or the Bucks.
Yeah, it is a straight slugfest in the East. The Nets second in the East now. When I think the last time I was on the pod with you, if they were in the top 8 seeds, they were 7 or 8. Yeah, I think they were in the play-in at that point, at 9 or 10. Then, the Cavs are 4 after Donovan Mitchell's 71-point performance. The Pacers right there with the Sixers, 1 less win, 3 more losses. The Heat look like they've turned it around. The New York Knicks at 8 seed at 20-18. The Hawks are probably falling apart with all those rumors surrounding Trae Young. But I just went through the top 8 teams in the East, and none of those teams are easy out.
It's not sweet at all. And I don't know if, Brooklyn is quite a favorite yet, because you probably still trying to wait and see a little bit. And, you can't just assume, it was all Steve Nash and, Kyrie's distraction or whatever you want to say, because they've turned it around so remarkably in the other direction when you thought Kevin Durant wanted to get out of town and, the whole Kyrie thing would just blow up in their face and they might release him, but they brought it together. They're playing great basketball. I probably need to see a little bit more to think of them as the same as the Celtics or the Bucks, but
that's fair.
Scary, bro.
I've seen a lot, and I saw over, between Christmas and New Year's, I saw a breakdown of them turning around. Kevin Durant, he's always talked about as being arguably the best player in the NBA. It's him and LeBron for the past decade. Some people have LeBron, some people have KD. Although he hasn't received that many MVP votes, he's playing better offensively than he has the past 5 years. He's probably playing the best defensively since his first year in Golden State.
Oh, he's killing.
Yo, he is on fire. It's like, my name. I'm Kevin Durant. Yeah. And he's showing it night in and night out.
what's not to like, man? He's just such a unicorn, and we get to enjoy Joel Embiid and his unicornness. But as much as we enjoy Embiid, Durant has been that unicorn for twice as long. But it's funny because, it sometimes comes down to little things. It sometimes, maybe something else, but if everybody's healthy and, you just roll the ball out on the court, you don't want to play that Brooklyn team. Like, everybody's like of one mind and pointed in the same direction. Like, you don't want to play them. You don't want to see them in the first round of the playoffs. And Ben Simmons and his situation, notwithstanding, like, I mean, the fact that we're not talking about Ben when we bring them up means that he's doing his job. Like, he's not taken away from what they're doing, and he's adding in whatever capacity he can to, I mean, he still can't shoot, but they figured out the lineup rotations. They figured out, who should be where and whatever else, which I think is part of the Sixers issue of trying to get the right guys on the floor at the same time against whoever they're facing. You know what I'm saying? So I think they got their rotations down. Shout out to Jacques Vaughn and figuring it out. But scary team though. But same for the Cavs, same for the Celtics, same for the Bucks. I mean, I don't know if any of those teams are going to be light work in the playoffs.
None of them are going to be light work in the playoffs, and that's why it's important and imperative for any of the teams, but definitely the Sixers, just not to make things harder than it needs to be to face up. And for those other teams, not to face up with the Sixers, but you don't want to face up against the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nets. You don't want to face up against them in the first round. And how things play out, two of these teams are going to play each other in the first round. And you just want that easy first round playoff matchup. You want to get that sweep or that gentleman sweep
Bro,
winning 5 games.
Cleveland in the first round.
You don't want you don't want Cleveland. You don't want any of them.
In the 5-4 matchup, you only have home court.
It's like a couple of years ago when we discussed when they played the Wizards. You don't play with your food and waste time. You got the extra game, the extra travel, while the team you're about to play is already resting up, game planning for you. You don't want to just waste around that time. The Sixers kind of did that with Toronto last year. Don't wait. Don't just. It's useless energy. You're wasting time while the next team is preparing. So it's that much important to get a good playoff spot. So you're playing one of the weaker teams in that first round playoff matchup.
Hey, some important messages to share with you. Opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope, and humanizes the disease of addiction. Download the new season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. And if you're injured for over 70 years, Lundy Law has been the #1 personal injury law firm in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Their services are exemplary. Their results are exceptional. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW to get the money you deserve. All that being said, as we move on in the podcast, do you feel like Embiid is getting the love he deserves? Another 42-point performance, and I'm not saying from us, but in the MVP odds. Luka, Durant, Giannis, Jokic, all ahead of him in the standings. Tatum, the other guy that's ahead of him in the standings. So he's like 6th when he has been the MVP runner-up multiple times. Is Embiid not getting the love he deserves somehow? I mean, you see the game last night. He just comes out cooking, putting like Valanciunas. In the past, there have been games where he had been able to make Embiid uncomfortable, and be what you would want anybody to be, and kind of get Embiid off his spots, and challenge him in ways that some other guys can't. But Embiid just shoving face-up jumpers in his face over and over, smash. I don't know, man. Like I said previously, he's such a unicorn, but all these guys ahead of him, and what can he do? Can he do anything to even get more recognition. He was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week a couple weeks ago, but he hasn't really turned it off. Obviously, right there at the top of the league in scoring. Like, what can he do?
That's going to sound asinine and ridiculous, but play better, more wins.
Okay.
Like, because I think Jokic is still having the best season out of anybody in the league, and his team. I don't know if they have the best record overall, but they have the best record in the West. Okay, the Celtics and Nets have a better record than the Nuggets. And I know it used to be best player on the best team award is gotten away from that. That's how a lot of people used to vote.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Luka just had a 60-point triple-double last week. I think it's a little early to say who the MVP is. You still got a lot of the season left. Over half.
It's really early to say, but he's sixth. Like, he's got a lot of guys the leapfrog to even be, in the conference, get invited to the ceremony. You're not even invited to the ceremony at this point.
I think everyone above him has more wins, except Luka. The Mavs and Sixers both have 22 wins, but the Celtics, the Bucks, the Nets, the Nuggets all have more wins than the Sixers.
Okay, so but I thought it wasn't best player on best team. It sounds like it is best player on best team.
Oh, no, I said that's how people used to vote.
Right. Oh, okay.
I don't have a vote, so my saying means absolutely nothing except for the people that wants to hear my opinion on it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No.
I was just trying to, I was just going to hate. I was going to try to poke holes in some of the other guys. That's all I was going to do. I was going to start talking junk about Luka or Giannis or something like that. But I mean, that don't make Joel Embiid's odds any better if I to start, talking junk about how Giannis, still can't score in the half court, or, Luka, still drinks beers after the game. I don't know what I want to do. I was going to poke holes at them, but I think you make the right point though. He has to win more, and the best ability is availability. It's a fascinating time of the season. I just love when the intensity ramps up. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming up here in about 30 days or so, and we'll see who is really trying to make a push. I don't know. I have no idea what the Sixers might do. I really don't think they need to change much unless something incredible comes their way. But
I got some changes for them.
I mean, you think they need to trade some guys? That's going to really change the outcome? Like, you shipping Matisse Thybulle on a pickoff to get what?
Well, I think it might come back to, like we talked before the pod, like, is Happy New Year's to our listeners, some New Year's resolutions and for the team.
Okay.
It's two things. Wait,
okay, hold on. So these are your New Year's resolutions for the Sixers. Two things.
Yes, I don't know if you have any.
Okay, I got one. All
right.
Yeah.
So I want to start with, and a trade isn't going to make this happen. A trade is not going to make this happen. This is on coaching and the team. Start playing defense before the second half.
You meant that, though. I could tell. You meant that.
That's fair, though, right? Start playing defense before the second half.
Absolutely.
24 minutes of the game is like, oh, now we're going to start playing defense.
And you mean like the perimeter D? Because I feel like Embiid's always out there rim protecting, or sometimes he can't.
Well, it's the perimeter D. It's when Embiid is defending the rim, protecting the rim. It's the help side, the backside defense, for someone to rotate. All those things come in play. And as good as Embiid is on defense, or as great as someone can be, it doesn't help if guys aren't rotating or just doing their part. If one person slacks off.
Maybe that's why it stands out so much when DeAnthony Melton's out there, because he is doing all that stuff, helping the helper, getting those rear view contests and doing anything out there. Steals, obviously, he's up there at the top of the league in steals, but maybe that's why it stands out so much.
All right. What's your one?
My New Year's resolution is, I think it is for, I don't know if this is even fair, but they got to get past the second round, bro. Like, I just, is that fair? Or
that's definitely fair.
Okay. They got to get past the second round, and just for the psyche of all involved. And I'm not even just talking about the players, but the fans, the front office, like all this time and money and effort and words and expectations, and we're this, we're that in years past, where that hasn't been as much. Players aren't mentioning awards they want to win by name, or star hunting, or champ. No one's talking about that, and more focused on the day to day, which is very important. But I can't continue, and I say I mean, as fans, it's hard to continue to invest in a team that continues to underachieve and fall short of expectations. So, I mentioned the Cavaliers, like this is a serious point in, Sixers fandom, where not only will they not make it past the second round, they could easily be bounced in the first round. And this ain't a Raptors team who might surprise some people. You talk about a Sixers team that's probably finishing, hopefully, in the top 3, but could be in the 4th or 5th seed. If you finish in the 5th seed, you don't even have home court advantage in the first round. You're playing a Cavaliers team in the first round who can score in bunches every game, and has real great interchangeable defenders, and a little bit of a good home crowd, a good home court advantage. So all that being said, you got to raise the expectations, show progress, and the only way I think the progress will be measured when the season ends is how far they go in the postseason. Focus on the day-to-day. Yes, it's all about the journey and not the destination, but the destination will be how they're weighed and measured when the season ends. So there's no getting around that. But
that's a great New Year's resolution for the team. I think that's just that is
when I think about that. But
that's just a step for the overall goal for the team. Another New Year resolution I have is, can we do something about this rebounding problem? And are they the worst rebounding team in the league?
Probably not, but when you look at Joel Embiid, I mean, it starts with him sometimes, man. And that's an effort thing. Maybe that's something they could trade for. They could trade for that.
Yeah. Last time I checked, he averaged less than 10 rebounds a game. I think it was like 9.6 or 9.8 or something like that. In my opinion, there's no reason he shouldn't be averaging 12 rebounds a game. Like, box out effort, as you say. I agree with your New Year's resolution for the team. Mine's, I guess, maybe it's effort stuff and want to. And I thought DeAnthony Melton, one of your favorite players, has that. I thought PJ Tucker would add that, but PJ isn't what PJ was in Miami or in Milwaukee and some of the other places.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, overall effort to show it more on the defensive end, on help side defense and rotating perimeter defense and getting some of these rebounds, man.
No, I agree with you, bro. I asked Noah that a couple of pods ago if he felt like, they had the rebounding and defense to get to where they wanted to. Yeah, bro, I was defending them. They are second to last in team rebounding, 40.3 a game. Like, the Mavericks are 38.9 a game. The Sixers average 40.3 rebounds per game as a team. The top team in the league is the Memphis Grizzlies at 49 a game. Wow. I didn't think they were almost dead last in the league. So that's definitely something that, but also, you got to, what is it? Sleep in the bed that you made? How that expression go? Lay in the bed. Whatever. Sleeping dogs lie. However it goes. But they traded Andre
Drummond.
Jordan,
I was thinking DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, no, it's easy. I mean, all these dudes have been on the Sixers. So they traded Andre Drummond, who is a fantastic rebounder, in order to get James Harden. They had a guy in-house who played some pretty good backup center minutes, controlled the boards, and, maybe they couldn't have, kept them around price-wise, but, you got to give to get. And him and Seth Curry, guys that the Sixers fans and the team themselves enjoyed having around. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is. I'm hoping they can give more effort, grab these rebounds, rotate on defense. Definitely make it past the second round this year. I'm not sure you got any more New Year's resolutions. Other things I thought of, we mentioned earlier, but
other things you thought of. I am also putting the Doc Rivers' feet to the fire. I need to see him making the proper adjustments, pulling the right strings, the whole bit. So I'm looking at him to, you bring in these veteran coaches who have this experience, and he's beloved around the league by players and all that, great, fluffy stuff. But we need you making the right calls with the X's and O's and getting the right people on the floor. And you can see he's kind of like, the roster is kind of shrinking a little bit. We haven't seen Paul Reed. We might see him every now and again. Furkan and all that. We don't see some of those guys anymore. You know what I mean? You see him more Montrez, PJ Tucker, Daniel House. The guys that he kind of signed off on. To come in here and try to make a difference. So. We'll see how it plays out. But the Pacers, I will be at the OKC game next Thursday with the fam. If you see me bouncing around the arena, say what's up, chat me up. I'd love to talk to people. Maybe I can get Ben Berry to come out. I'll email him a ticket and get him out the house.
Only if it's courtside. Only the finest and the best. It's on you, Danny. I'll go courtside.
You got to show off your new hair. Is that what it is?
Yo, once this grows, I'm gonna just be shaking it for no reason.
Jesus Christ had dreads, so shake them.
E40.
I don't know. You said you're trying to get dreads? That's the objective?
Yeah, and it was growing it out. Started off with some twists. These are for those that don't know that or might not be cultured. If you're watching on YouTube, I got some starter twists, starter locks. Thank you. My hair wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be like down my back, but I definitely thought it was going to reach the top of my ear, and it doesn't. So. But how
much they cost you for the twist?
It cost me how much they charge. Hey, that's supposed to ask. You know better than that. That's like asking somebody how much they watch costs in public.
Did you want to tell the viewers your middle name?
So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I am Ben Berry. I have no idea why Danny's out here. Danny, you want to give out your socials while we're at it? It's so clearly this pod needs to wrap up.
Yo, the Euro step you did around that question though. That was funny. Noah will be back on the next podcast. A couple games here coming up. Again, Pacers will be interesting. The team directly below them in the standings. Sixers have had issues with them in the past. Tyrese Halliburton, a guy who could have been here if the Sixers hadn't gone the Harden direction and wanted to pay that price. Miles Turner and Joel always have some good battles. So it will be fun to watch and just enjoy the basketball. Ease into this 2023. I hope everyone's happy and healthy. Much love to you as always, Ben. Like Ben said, you can follow him on social media at I am Ben Berry. I'm at D Pommells NBCS. Much love to Noah, and we will see you guys next time. Check out Noah's work on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. This has been the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. Wilmu Works.